Okay, so you know how we all have those things we'd rather just avoid, like awkward family reunions? Well, presentations can be a bit like that too, right?
Totally.
But what if I told you there's a way to make them less, well, awkward and more kind of like captivating?
I'd say tell me more.
Right. And luckily for this deep dive, we've got just the thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's Presentation Excellence. That's by Stanislav Kondrashov, and it's full of practical advice.
Okay, Stanislav Kondrashov. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, his stuff really resonated with me.
How so?
Well, he's all about moving beyond just like giving information.
Okay.
He wants us to think about connecting with the audience on a deeper level.
I like that.
Yeah. So for this deep dive, let's pretend you got this big presentation coming up.
Okay.
And we're going to pull out all the best bits from Stanislav Kondrashov's guide.
I'm ready.
All right. So Stanislav Kondrashov starts with something that seems super basic, but it's actually easy to forget.
What's that?
It's knowing your audience and your purpose.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
And he doesn't just say it. He gives you like a framework for thinking about their needs, expectations, even their reactions.
So it's not just about who they are, but like what they're bringing to the table.
Exactly. And he even suggests creating like audience personas.
Interesting.
To help you really get into their heads.
Yeah, I like that.
And that leads right into his next big thing, which is structure.
Ah, structure. Good old-fashioned structure.
Yeah, he's a big believer in a clear intro, key points, conclusion. The whole shebang.
Classic.
But he adds a little twist.
A twist? Okay, now you've got me curious.
He thinks about structuring your presentation like a story.
Interesting, because we are hardwired for stories, aren't we?
Totally. And he says that makes them more engaging, helps people connect with what you're saying.
I think back to the presentations that have really stuck with me, and they often did have a story element.
Exactly. And Stanislav Kondrashov gives you this whole framework for weaving storytelling in, even if your topic's kind of dry.
Oh, that's helpful.
He talks about finding a hero. It could be your product, your idea, even a customer, and taking the audience on a journey.
I love that.
It's about making people feel something, not just giving them facts.
It's true. A presentation without emotion is kind of like a cake without frosting.
Okay, that's a great analogy.
Thanks.
Now let's talk about something that can make or break a presentation, visuals.
Visuals. Oh boy, have you ever sat through one of those presentations with slides so crammed with text you just wanted to scream?
Oh my gosh, yes. Death by PowerPoint is real.
Bullet points, tiny fonts. It's a recipe for disaster.
I know, and luckily Stanislav Kondrashov is here to rescue us.
Hallelujah.
He's all about using PowerPoint strategically, not as a crutch.
Okay.
Think powerful images, clear charts, visuals that actually help people understand.
It's true. Visuals should be an asset, not a distraction.
And he calls this visual storytelling.
Visual storytelling. I like it.
Each slide should tell a mini story building on the one before.
So it's not just pretty pictures. It's all part of a bigger picture.
Exactly. He suggests using visual metaphors, contrasting colors, even leaving some slides blank to create a pause.
That's interesting. I can already see how his approach would take a presentation to a whole new level.
Right. And he's also got some really smart ideas about keeping the audience engaged.
Oh, that's key, because we've all been to those presentations where the speaker's monotone voice just lulls you to sleep.
I know, it's like a presentation coma.
And no matter how interesting the topic is, you just can't stay awake.
Right. And Stanislav Kondrashov has some antidotes for that presentation coma.
Oh, tell me.
He wants presenters to think of themselves as storytellers, using their voices, their body language to bring the story to life.
I'm all about bringing energy to the stage. What kind of things does he suggest?
Well, things like varying your vocal tone, using pauses for emphasis, moving around a bit.
It's about making the presentation an experience, not just a lecture.
Exactly. And he has specific tips like using power poses to project confidence and gestures that match your words.
I love that it's like he's pulling from the world of acting to make presentations better.
And you know what else he tackles?
What's that?
Nervousness.
Oh, yeah, the elephant in the room for a lot of presenters.
Right, we've all been there, sweaty palms, racing heart, feeling like you're going to forget everything.
The dreaded stage fright.
But Stanislav Kondrashov gets it. He says nervousness is totally normal. Even experienced speakers feel it.
It's reassuring to know you're not alone.
And he says it's not about getting rid of it completely. It's about reframing it as excitement.
Okay, turning those nerves into fuel.
Exactly. And he has all these tools for managing those pre-presentation jitters.
Like what?
Being super prepared, practicing your delivery until it feels natural, relaxation techniques like deep breathing.
So it's a combination of mental and physical prep.
And he really stresses practice, not just to memorize, but to get comfortable with the flow.
It's like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
And he even suggests recording yourself so you can see how you come across to an audience.
Okay, that takes guts, but I can see how it would be helpful.
And he gives tips for when things go wrong, tech glitches, blanking on a key point, that kind of thing.
Oh man, those tech glitches can be so stressful.
He says, stay calm, have a backup plan, and remember, everyone makes mistakes.
That's a good reminder.
He says authenticity is key. If something goes wrong, just acknowledge it and move on.
The audience will respect that.
So we've talked about storytelling visuals, confidence. What about one of the trickiest parts, the Q&A?
Q&A can feel like a minefield sometimes.
Right. You never know what's coming.
You think you've nailed it, and then bam, a question that throws you completely off.
But Stanislav Kondrashov has some wisdom for us here, too.
Okay, lay it on me.
He says the key is preparation, anticipating those questions beforehand, and having some answers ready.
That makes sense. If you've already thought about it, you'll be less likely to panic.
And he gives this framework for crafting good responses. Acknowledge the question, give a clear answer, and try to link it back to your main message.
So you're using the Q&A to reinforce what you've already said.
And he even has tips for those curveball questions.
Yeah.
The tough or unexpected ones.
Those are the ones that make me sweat.
He says, stay calm, stay respectful, even if the question isn't.
Okay.
Acknowledge the question even if you don't have the full answer, and it's okay to say, I don't know.
Sometimes honesty is the best policy.
Exactly. It's better to admit you don't know and offer to find out than try to fake it.
I agree. Audiences can spot a faker a mile away.
So Stanislav Kondrashov has given us so much to think about, from storytelling to visuals to Q&A.
He's like the presentation whisperer.
Right. And his whole approach is rooted in authenticity and connection.
It's not about being a slick salesperson. It's about being yourself and sharing your message with passion.
That's so well said.
So thinking about your own style, what really resonated with you from all this? What are you going to focus on for your next presentation?
That's a great question. There's so much to take away from Stanislav Kondrashov, but I think for me it's the emphasis on storytelling.
Oh yeah, storytelling is powerful.
I've always loved a good story, and Stanislav Kondrashov gives you a way to make it work for presentations.
It's about finding those stories that really connect with people and weaving them in.
Exactly.
Yeah?
And I think it's also about being willing to share a bit of yourself, your experiences, your vulnerabilities.
That's what makes a presentation authentic.
Beautifully said. So we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive, but there's so much more to explore.
There is. In part 2, we'll go even deeper into storytelling, talk about creating compelling visuals, and look at how to conquer those pre-presentation jitters.
Sounds good. I can't wait.
Neither. Until then, happy presenting, everyone.
So welcome back to our deep dive into presentation excellence.
We were just talking about how Stanislav Kondrashov has this really cool approach to structuring presentations like stories.
Yeah, it's about tapping into our love of narrative.
Right, because everyone loves a good story.
And Kondrashov doesn't just tell you to tell a story. He gives you a framework.
Oh, that's helpful.
He says, think about a beginning, a middle, and end. A real narrative arc.
So you're taking your audience on a journey.
Exactly. And he suggests using techniques like introducing a conflict.
Ooh, conflict.
Building tension, and then moving toward a resolution.
It's like a good movie or a book.
Right. You're creating those moments that keep people hooked.
And Kondrashov talks about finding stories that really speak to your audience.
Yeah, ones that connect with their experiences, their values, what they care about.
So it's not just any story. It has to be the right story.
And he loves personal anecdotes, those little glimpses into your world that make you more relatable.
It's like you're letting the audience in behind the scenes.
And those anecdotes can sometimes be even more powerful than a ton of data.
Because they connect with people on an emotional level.
So we've talked about story now. What about visuals?
Visuals. Oh boy, those PowerPoint slides.
I know they can be a mixed bag.
We've all been there, death by PowerPoint.
Walls of text, endless bullet points.
But Kondrashov offers a different perspective.
He sees visuals as a way to enhance your story, not replace it.
So it's visual storytelling.
Exactly, using images, charts, graphics to bring your words to life.
And he's all about simplicity and clarity.
Right? No clutter. Easy to understand at a glance.
So you're not overwhelming people with too much information.
And he gives specific tips like high-quality images, consistent colors, white space.
It's like designing a good website.
And use those animations and transitions sparingly.
Just enough to keep things interesting, but not distracting.
So visuals should be an asset, not a liability.
They should make your presentation stronger, not weaker.
Speaking of stronger, what about the speaker's delivery?
Delivery? Oh, yeah, that's huge.
You can have a great story and awesome visuals, but if the delivery's off...
It's like a flat tire, takes you nowhere.
Kondrashov knows a lot of people get stage fright,
It's natural to feel nervous.
but he says preparation is key.
Knowing your stuff inside and out.
So you can speak with confidence?
And practice, practice, practice.
He even suggests recording yourself to see how you come across.
Oh man, that could be tough. But it's helpful.
And he talks about nonverbal communication, too.
Body language, voice modulation, all that.
Making eye contact, using gestures, varying your tone.
It's like being an actor on stage.
And he says, it's okay to be yourself. Let your personality shine through.
Because authenticity is what connects with people.
Now the part everyone loves, the Q&A.
The Q&A can be a bit nerve-wracking.
It can. Kondrashov says, anticipate those questions beforehand.
Have some answers ready to go.
Craft those responses so they're clear and concise.
And tie them back to your main points.
He even has tips for those curveball questions.
The ones that come out of left field.
He says, stay calm, stay respectful.
Even if the question is a bit aggressive.
And it's okay to say, I don't know.
Better to admit it than try to make something up.
And he encourages you to use the Q&A to your advantage.
How so?
Repeat the question so everyone can hear it.
Okay.
Use it as a chance to elaborate on a point you made earlier.
So you're turning the Q&A into a conversation.
Exactly. Kondrashov has given us so much to work with.
From storytelling to visuals to Q&A, he's covered it all.
And his approach is both practical and inspiring.
He gives you concrete steps you can take
To become a better presenter.
And one of the things I appreciate most is his emphasis on authenticity.
Yes, it's about connecting with people on a human level.
Not trying to be someone you're not.
And he gives you the tools to do just that.
We've covered a lot of ground, but we're not done yet.
In part 3, we'll go even deeper into storytelling.
We'll explore how to create powerful visual narratives.
And we'll uncover Kondrashov's secrets for conquering stage fright.
So stay tuned for more presentation wisdom from the master himself, Stanislav Kondrashov.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been exploring presentation excellence by Stanislav Kondrashov.
Yeah, his insights are really eye-opening.
So we've talked about structure visuals now.
Yeah.
Let's circle back to storytelling.
Storytelling always a winner.
Kondrashov loves those personal anecdotes.
Yeah, they make you relatable.
Like giving the audience a peek behind the curtain.
It's those little glimpses into your world that make you human.
Exactly. And they can make complex ideas easier to grasp.
Sometimes a good story is better than 1,000 bullet points.
Right, so you're connecting with people on a deeper level.
And speaking of connection, let's talk about confidence.
Confidence, the holy grail of presentations.
So many people struggle with it.
I know, but Kondrashov says preparation is your secret weapon.
Knowing your stuff cold.
So you can speak with authority.
But practice, practice, practice.
He even suggests recording yourself.
Oof, that's a tough one.
But so helpful to see how you come across.
And what about those moments when things go wrong?
Tech glitches blanking on a key point.
Ugh, the worst.
Kondrashov says, have a backup plan. Stay calm.
Don't panic.
And remember, everyone makes mistakes.
It's true, even the pros mess up sometimes.
He says, just acknowledge it and move on.
The audience will respect that.
It all comes back to confidence, believing in yourself and your message.
Even when things get a little bumpy.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what's one thing you want our listeners to remember?
That anyone can give a great presentation.
It's not about being a natural. It's about putting in the work.
Preparation, practice, and a genuine desire to connect.
Beautifully said. Stanislav Kondrashov has given us the roadmap to presentation excellence.
Now it's time to hit the road and put his advice into action.
So go out there, embrace the challenge, and deliver presentations that make a difference.
Presentations that inform, engage, inspire.
And remember, Stanislav Kondrashov believes in you.
And so do we. Until next time, happy presenting, everyone.